Little Matt is abducted by his own father, a man that has been completely estranged to him his entire life. He has never met him, nor does he know what he looks like or who he actually is. However, the police, when trying to find Matt, have no indication as to whether or not Matt was taken by his father, Denny. There's no evidence at all that points to where he has been. All they know is that he has been abducted by some stranger. Matt's older sister, Bonnie, a 13-year-old girl, tries to help the police piece together what exactly happened to Matt and where is he now. In Kehret's novel, Abduction, we follow Bonnie and Matt as they try to figure out how exactly they are going to get Matt back home. The novel is split between 2 and sometimes 3 different perspectives: Denny, the man who was kidnapped and father of Matt, Matt himself, and older sister, Mom. So right off the bat, one of the first things I want to mention about this book is that it's actually a book that is recommended for middle school readers. Now, I know this seems a little weird. Why is a college student reading a middle school aged book? However, this was a book that I was fairly interested in when I saw that my sister had it, because the overall idea of it is very dark and much more adult fiction-like. All about the story of a little boy who becomes abducted by his own father, who he has never met. And a lot of the reasoning behind why Denny kidnaps Matt is very, very messed up, and it seems that it is much more reminiscent of an adult novel than it would be for a middle school student. And although there is really no language whatsoever in this novel, there is still quite a bit of violence that is portrayed in the novel, especially towards the climactic point of the novel. And despite the fact that it is a middle grade novel, I really, really enjoyed it because it was the fact that it was so different than what I had seen of a lot of other middle grade novels. Now, if you guys remember, one of the very first book reviews I did was for the novel We Are Made of Molecules by Susan Nielsen, and this was also more of a middle grade novel, maybe early high school. But for being a middle grade novel, it still was very enjoyable because of the way that the characters both progressed and how the story developed itself, and some very intense pieces throughout the novel that really kind of stuck with you. Abduction was the exact same way. I really felt that Matt as a 6-year-old character was very well developed. He was much more aware of his surroundings than I think would be normally possible, but then thinking on if I was to be put in his position and be kidnapped by my own father, I feel like I would have a lot of the same things running through my head as he did. And then being in Bonnie's position, the older sister trying to find out where her little brother is, it was incredibly heartbreaking. And I just really think that this novel is I just feel like this novel is for a much older audience than it dictates. I think that it is good for middle grade readers because it is a very quick read, a very fast read. It's easy to understand. You're not really having any questions. However, the content is much more reminiscent of adult mystery novels and all kinds of action novels like that. So I feel like it's a pretty good novel for either because it is quick to read, but there's a lot in it that can interest any kind of reader in my mind. However, I feel like that the father figure that had kidnapped Matt was incredibly selfish, and that is the total intent. I was so furious reading his perspective, and when you find out why exactly he has kidnapped Matt after never seeing him and never knowing who he was in the first place, the whole idea of why he kidnapped Matt in the first place made me so angry, which made me happy because that was the whole intent. The fact that I became so angry and I could literally feel my blood boil reading through his eyes about this whole thing. It was incredible that Peg was able to make me feel that way, and I really think that this is an interesting novel if you're looking to get into mystery, especially if you are in the middle school age, anywhere between 6th to 8th grade. And then even though it's recommended for a younger audience, I really think any adult could get some thrill out of this because just the overall idea of the father and why he has kidnapped his own son. But I think with this novel, you kind of get a lot from it because you not only learn about the intent of a criminal, you also learn about how the victim is able to feel and what they think, and you also get a little bit of a perspective of the family and how they react to these kinds of things. So overall, I felt like this was a fantastic novel, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's really interested in anything with mystery or thriller or action, or if you're a younger reader and you want something a little bit more hard-hitting and hard-packed, this is a good novel for you. So yeah, those were really my only thoughts on the novel Abduction, and yes, there's not really much to tell because it is a younger audience novel, so I'm not really sure how to really talk about those kind of books because it's not something I'm used to talking about. However, I do feel like what I've said pretty much sums up my thoughts of the novel. I thought it was really, really good for how young it's directed, and it hits on some very heavy topics that you would not expect a middle grade novel to hit. I would not expect a 6th grader to understand anything of what this story says, but it makes it pretty clear. It doesn't leave you with any questions and makes it pretty interesting throughout. It doesn't seem too watered down. It doesn't seem too babyfied for a younger reader. It just honestly seems like a younger version of an adult mystery, which I really like. So the next book that I'm actually going to be reading is going to be another more so middle grade novel. This is called 33 Minutes by Todd Hazak-Lowy. This is again another novel my sister just had in her bookshelf that I thought looked really interesting, and it looks like it's going to be kind of one of those humorous middle school stories, which I really, really like. I really enjoyed the, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that was what it was. I always used to love the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, and the kind of the girl version of that, My Not So Secret Diary, I think was what it was called. That was a long-standing series that my sister and I really, really loved. So I'm excited to kind of get back into this humorous little kind of story. But yeah, so that's all I really got for you guys for Kehret's Abduction. I think I'm saying her last name right. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up and let me know what your thoughts are on the whole idea of more middle grade novels talking about some very heavy topics that are normally found in adult fiction. Do you think it's appropriate? Do you think it should kind of be kept until at least high school age? What are your thoughts? I'm actually pretty curious, so leave a comment below letting me know what you think. And as always, I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!